G'day everyone! More Trench Crusade minis. These are from Saint Decent over on My Mini Factory. You can find her stuff. Great minis. As you can see here, we're actually going to mix Doombill Brown and a metallic. It doesn't necessarily have to be this metallic. We're mixing them together to create our base for our metal. And this is to create a rusty metal look, as we're going for a grim, dark battlefield look for all the Trench Crusade stuff. As you can see, it's just me just mixing it together. Wish my hand wasn't in the way, but this is the angle I've picked right now. You can see it's very a brown looking metallic, and we're going to get it everywhere, all over the metal areas you've got, even the gun. On the gun there's a little side panels where the actual flint and matchlock striker is, so don't forget those. And of course the respirator sort of tank on the mask and the helmet and so on. Even the lenses, I've done just the metal parts around the lenses. But yeah, you'll see a close-up when I'm done and you'll get a good look at that. What we're doing here is we're adding on a rust colour. So we're using the Fire Dragon Bright to just stipple on a orange to imply the rust, rather than using, as you can see, the brush is very mangled up by dry brushing it a little bit, and we're getting all the bristles to just spread out, but we're getting this to look like rust rather than using something like Dirty Down Rust, and it just saves doing a lot of legwork with having to use the effects paints later on. And it's a good little trick, you know, you're going to get a nice effect. You can also, while you've got it in this fashion, also dry brush it on and it will give you the same sort of look. And just the speckles, I think, add those little bits of highlight that improve and make it look like there are points of rust in certain places. And if you want to make some places thicker or not, it's up to you. There we go, it's all done. We're coming back in with our metallic, and again, this is just, again, using the bristles that are all frayed out, and we're just going to add in I'm actually showing how the brush looks there, a dry brush speckle, just tapping, stippling highlight. And this is just to give it the real look of metal. Even though there's metallics in that original brown layer, this will give you that nice bit of shine. Of course, the washes later on will dull us down, but that's what we want for this very rusty armor. These guys, in the idea is that they pass the armor down, they reclaim it from the battlefield. So that was the idea I was going for, so it's going to look battle damaged and worn. These miniatures are a real fun to paint too, which makes the job 10 times easier. I've got my Rhinox hide here now. I'm just going to do boots and gloves. The characters actually have spats, that's what I think they're called, the wrappings around their ankles. So I looked at World War I and World War II, more World War I style uniforms for the reference, and a lot of the spats and things like that, they were different colours to the boots. If you look at the British and, in my case, Australian uniforms, the boots were usually brown, and then the spats were usually like an olive or a tan sort of colour. Gloves, well, gloves are whatever colour they want. Again, you don't have to follow along with these colours. These are just the colours I chose, and because they're sort of either going to be Prussians or Germans in the sort of lore that I'm thinking up, I chose to keep them fairly muted in their colours, and you know, the way that the battlefield and the lore of Trench Crusade is that everything looks drab. So that's what I went for. So here I've got some Steel Legion drab, and I'm going to do the spats, and I didn't film it, I think, but I actually also did the cloth part of the respirator. With the respirator, I switched to a finer brush, of course, to be able to get in there. Now, around the back of the neck, there is a little bit behind the helmet of where the respirator sort of hangs out a little bit. So don't forget that bit if you are going to get these minis and paint them. So yeah, just remember that bit. This is just me showing that I actually did paint the face and everything. I think I went back and made sure that I painted the back of the helmet later on. But now we're going to, again, one of my favourite colours, Storm Vermin Fur. And this is for the uniforms. Because I was going for, as I said, Prussia and German sort of influence from this, rather than in the other minis I did that were the shock troopers, these guys are your sort of standard trooper. I put them in the later World War One, I should say, sort of German greys that they would eventually wear. And you see me take it off the GW painting base to, or handle, I should say, to do it, because I couldn't get under his body to get the paint between his legs. So I had to quickly take them on, take them off. You do what you got to do to get these angles. But yeah, just getting back to talking about the uniforms, if you want to do some research, you definitely should go look at if you have local war museums or online assets to go look at. They definitely are a good source. They will have a lot of World War One style uniforms, and as I said, the Germans and a lot of different people, especially the French, they went through a lot of iterations of all the uniform changes throughout World War One. You know, Germany kind of figured out the fastest that, you know, the spiked helmets and bright colours were not the brightest idea, and you know, the French were still showing up in blues and reds and whites, and you know, still wearing gloves and things like that, or white gloves I should say, ready to win the war and swap swords. So this next part is getting in Mornfang Brown, and we're just going to do all the wooden parts, so such as the actual stock of the, I think it's a matchlock, but we'll say matchlock. We're going to do, or it's an arbalist, I don't know, whatever it's called. I think it is a matchlock, let's just say that. So just doing all of that, and also there are a certain amount of grenades that are on the mini as well. Each one usually has one, if not up to three. So You just have to go around and check. Yeah, that's me pointing them out. Just to do the handles before I had to do all the rest. But just make sure you get, you know, those perfect little lines. And just underneath them, of course, there's a little dot at the end underneath the bottom of the grip of the grenade itself. So this is bringing in dryad bark. Now this I used for all the leather satchels and bags that they're carrying. Any pouches, bags, everything. Now one thing I will say that if you want to point for these minis again, is that they have this sort of leather bib sort of thing that's on their front that's helping them. Oh no, sorry, it's a overall kind of two straps that run down, and then they've got the pouch on the front, and that pouch on the front has a the strap runs around and goes behind their neck, so it's not actually a piece of armor. So you will have to just be aware of that when you're painting it, that piece of strap goes all the way around their neck. They also have a collar too. I should have mentioned it when painting the uniform. So we're just going to add in just a little bit more colour. It's just a tiny bit. That was me just showing the back of the strap and the grenades here. These grenades, I'm just going to hit them with Evil Sun Scarlet. Again, this is just getting the fine brush and doing just an ever so slight stipple as I put the rust effect on those as well. And we're just stippling on the colour just to give it a bit of a highlight of the red to show that these grenades are dangerous. And, you know, red things go boom, if video games have taught us anything. Now this is me doing the bases to match the other bases I'd done and the terrain I've made using Deathclaw Brown, I think it's Ungor Flesh, yep, and Gorgrunter Fur, that's it. Now this is all watered down paint, heavily watered down. The Gorgrunter Fur not as much, and it's just a wet mix, just to get it in between the duck boards. And then we'll come back in and do the duck boards in a minute. And it's just, try to get the yellow, if you want to match these, the Ungor Flesh to pop out the most. And again, this is after it's been dried. I used a hairdryer. This is coming back with Gorgrunter Fur to do the boards. They're just neat, straight out of the pot. If you want to do 2 layers, depending on how dark you want it, or choose a different brown, it's fine. I just, as you can see, straight painted over the top of what was already there. I didn't even worry about undercoating them again or anything. I wanted the place to still have that orange desert or whatever this is, a chemical environment look to it. So I didn't even worry about re-undercoating it. This is just a simple thing. We're just going to use the metal and the gold just to highlight all the bullet casings and bits of barbed wire that are around some of the bases. Easy enough. It's a little thing, but it's those little touches that people will notice when you're going to display these minis or whatever you want to do. So this is the next magic mix. It's Dark Mud from AK and Odorless Thinner. Doesn't need to be AK, just the ones I got. Again, this was a little lean. I ended up putting more Dark Mud in it to do the other ones, so it doesn't look as dark on this mini. But yeah, just if you feel like you want more other stuff on them, you know, you can. Or if you're using Villainy inks, go for it. I've got at least one Villainy ink, so give it a shot. And now you'll see me come in with some of these makeup sponges, and I'm just going to lightly dab off some of it so that all the mud is in the crevices. Also, it's on the ground, I should say, as well. And again, we're just lightly tapping it away. We're not removing anything from inside those deep crevices. So after a flash with the hairdryer, you can see they're nice, looking pretty good. So this is another thing, Agrex Earthshade and Typhus Corrosion. This is just a trick to mix them together, get a little bit of water into it, just to get it flowing. And this is just to add a bit of sort of clingy mud to them. Maybe they got a bit of crud on them, but we're just looking for where mud and things gather, depending on where you want to put it. It's just a little touch, but in the next step, it'll help the next step, when it's dry of course, cling on to something. Now this next step, of course, as you can see, this is all dry now. I did put some of the duck boards as well, just to give it a little bit of texture. This is the next step. Again, this is optional depending on the bases you're going to use. Now this is a watercolor pencil. It's been sitting in just a little glass of water there. And I'm just using the tip of the pencil to just scrape some of it on to the mini. And then heavily come in with some water and thin it out and spread it out. When this dries, it looks like dust has, been applied. If you want to use dust and things like that, that's up to you. I just like using this pencil. I don't know. I saw the technique. It's just a normal watercolor pencil, so you'll be able to see the effect after this. And finally, this is me just painting in some lenses. I just wanted to, you do see me here make a mistake, but again, I just wanted a bit of light inside the lenses. I do want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your day to sit here and listen to me waffle. I hope this has been informative or entertaining or whatever. As I said, you see me, I got a little bit on his helmet. You see me have a little bit of a freak out here trying to get it off. And yeah, eat paint for a little bit here. Oh well, my tongue is already red, so what does it matter? And I get a bit of towel and just wipe away the excess there. But it came out fine. I got it all off and ended up fixing it. But, again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you could like and share, or follow me over on Instagram and TikTok, that'd be great. Cheers.